Hello, my name is Grumpy. Grumpy Eye. Grumpy Eye. Grumpy Eye.
Inside Star Citizen.
It's a new year, and like every new year before it, here at CIG, January is a time of planning, of summits, of getting together and looking back at how the plans and activities of last year went to revise and inform the direction and processes of the one ahead. And to do so, all while still working diligently on Alpha 318, Star Citizen's biggest patch.
I don't want to be a dick, but do you see the antenna? He's receiving commands from Chris right now with this antenna here.
Since 2017, one that will serve as future foundation for the persistent universe's development going forward. And to say it's a busy time in the studios at this moment would be an understatement. But it's also an opportunity for ISC to stretch its legs a bit like we always do. Maybe try a few new things here and there to take advantage of the first real big series of internal gatherings we've been able to have since the pandemic began, and continue to look at as many aspects of video game development as we can, while always doing our best to not get in the way of that very same development. And I'm sure the editors will tell me that was my longest single run-on sentence in ISC history.
I was about to say that. I checked how long does the ISC last, because this took a minute.
So this quarter, we can look forward to seeing a few teams that we haven't seen in a while, meet some that are newly formed for the needs of this new year, continue to look farther forward than usual with our Journey to 4.0 specials, and of course, continue to look at work currently in progress for the next quarterly release, which is where we're going to start this week.
Next quarterly release? Are they still gonna keep the quarterly releases? Because that means that after the 318 patch drops, and if they were right and if they were not dishonest, we should get 318, then 3 months later 319, and then 4.0. So okay.
Continue to look at work currently in progress for the next quarterly release, which is where we're going to start this week. And while Alpha 318 is still working its way through
He means quarter century, right?
Let's jump ahead to a little of what's on its way for Alpha 319 after that, where during a recent environment team summit here in the UK, we asked visiting members from our Montreal studio to discuss the next evolution of crashed derelicts making their way into the persistent universe, including new variations to existing favorites in multiple stages of decay, and the addition of modular habitation units that will soon allow for the continued creation.
What?
And the addition of modular habitation units.
Why are we talking about that right now?
That will soon allow for the continued creation of new mission locations from the tiniest.
Oh, those. Okay, so yeah, they're gonna be talking about Raster again. Okay.
It's impressive of shanty towns.
Not for us. Yes, yeah. I mean, I didn't get excited, but I got confused. Why are we talking about this right now?
Derelicts are important because...
Yeah, the freelancer derelict is the best derelict, hands down.
Derelicts are important because it's adding content, enriching the experience for the player. It's like telling a story as well as the actual piece of a derelict that's there.
The Derelicts who are in the game right now are super nice. I'm super happy about them. We have really nice shapes. We can really feel the scale. When we walk, we can see how big they are.
They're impressive from a distance. The rustic feel, the abandonedness, these big, enormous, impressive shapes and silhouettes that you get to explore.
Having all the vegetation
this
growing
one,
up
the Reclaimer one, is really good.
On them, bring really a second life, and it's super interesting to see that bring kind of adventure side of all those things, a mysterious side.
Indiana Jones kind of style, this exploring, discovering. There's a variety for players to experience, to go back, revisit, and enjoy the Derelict.
These are ones that we have right now. Where the new?
I
the
think
new
we can
ones?
improve the speed to create those because they are really big location. We need to have a lot of artists working on those because it's really a huge amount of work to work on those one, and we want to create 100 of them everywhere on different planets and moons.
Adding more of the, like, because we have like OCs, so like dressing them up immediately instead of hand placing all the rocks, the foliage, and all the like visual elements separately by hand. We should make actually like nicer modules that are already
Huh? Why is this floating on top of
like,
this?
pre-assembled and like most of the stuff is already
Oh, okay.
contained in it. Nicer modules that are already like pre-assembled and like, we should make actually like
Oh, yeah, I get it. So, yeah, they have the interior, this is the main exterior hull, and then you have, like, the embellishments, or, like, the stuff that is
nicer
gonna be
modules that are
hanging
already
on
like
top of it.
pre-assembled and like most of the stuff is already contained
That's
in
cool.
it. So that way we can like deploy it, spend a bit more time on detailing, just an extra pass, an extra level of depth to the art.
What I like the most on the new ship we did, we create a deeper story about those crash sites. With the Star Runner crashing on the planet and having the 600i just crashing on the mountain just by, we can just think about maybe they got a fight on the sky and they get hit and the boat get crashed just by themselves.
I thought the story was that the sandworm took him out, like, both out. Like, they landed, and then they saw the sandworm. They like, saw the ground moving, and the sandworm just, like, ate him. But, like, didn't really eat him because they were metal. And, like, it doesn't like metal, so I thought that was the backstory.
We really set out to add different variations of age to our ships. So we have like the freshly crashed ships, the older ones that the planet overgrown over, and we have the very like derelicts as like just a skeleton of the ship that's remaining. Really just the frame of the actual ship that's just abandoned and rusted out.
The first ages of the derelict crash site is the fire one. That's it's when the ship just crashed, it's still on fire, we still have power in it, we still have sparks. The second age is
There was a 30K and both ships went down.
crash.
Yeah.
So that's the ship is crashed there, but maybe just a week after that. So no fire, no smoke anymore, no power inside the ship, no sparks. The third age is the biome, it's overgrown. It's when the biome just take its place back. We're going to have more sand on it, we have more dirt, we have grass, going to have leaves and vine growing up on it.
The fourth version is the paint's been worn off. It's been in the sun for an extended period of time. It's scratched up. It's a lot of rust that's been overgrown. It's been scavenged. People have visited the ship and it's missing pieces, panels. So a lot of wires are hanging. It's been used. It's been harvested basically. And I'm really excited about the derelict habs that we'll be adding to them.
Okay. But are they gonna talk about the mission? Like, this is 6 minutes into like a 15-minute video, and are they gonna talk about the missions that we're gonna do there? Because, like, are they always gonna be take out like this guy, or collect these 3 boxes, or like what?
We're looking at a library of habs to create these little settlements.
We create those library because we want to reuse all those hubs on different ship and create the different stories and depth about why that ship is there and who is going to live around.
We have like interiors. We have some that is just for like sheltering from the sun.
Also, there needs to be a lot more loot in these places. Like, if you have enterable buildings and like bars and stuff like that, that means that like there's actually a crew living there, like a community. So like having a blue and a red box there and that's it, that's just not enough.
We have like
no missions.
interiors. We have some
yeah,
that is just for like sheltering from the sun and the harsh conditions of the planet. We have some that's just for like for sleeping. Ooh, there's some that have like little bars, little setups inside. People can eat, can do a can
Wait,
meet up.
this is on Daymar. Like Daymar doesn't have oxygen, right? You can't breathe on Daymar. It looks fucking amazing. It looks like they Tatooine and all of that. Great, but like, what's the point if you can't, like, if you need to wear a helmet? There's no door. There's no airlocks. So what's the point in like having a bar there? How are you gonna drink shit?
Some other ones are just for like electricity generation.
See, like they're all wearing helmets except this guy. But you can drop an NPC wherever and he's gonna survive.
We have solar panels on some of them.
When people find those ships, they kind of salvage them, so they took
Am
part
I tripping? No, actually, am I tripping? I think that, like, as far as I remember, Daymar does not have oxygen. Like, you can't. You're gonna die. Like, if you don't have a helmet, you're gonna die like in a minute, tops.
kind of create some kind of habitation because they want to live around those crash sites to be able to protect themselves for the weather.
These little mini camps, basically, that people can go and explore.
Well, Daymar is a moon, but on Yella you can like breathe the atmosphere. You're not gonna die immediately. You're gonna freeze to death.
These can be added to the new Derelicts, but also to the old ones as well. We made them pretty flexible in terms of look because we can change.
You know what would be cool? Just having these dragonflies, because they already made a Derelict model. Just having them like on Daymar and like the other moons, just like scattered around. Make like, I don't know, 500 of them scattered around the moon. And just have an inventory in them, and then spawn some like stuff inside the inventory, some loot, or a box right next to it. It doesn't matter. And then like exploration could be a potential thing, because you would just like go out and fly around until you spot one of these. Even though it's not like the exploration that they told us that we're gonna get, but it's something, right? It's not just like going and exploring until you hit a cave that you can't, like, you can enter and that's it. You can't see anything inside of it.
These can be added to the new Derelicts, but also to the old ones as well. We made them pretty flexible in terms of look because we can change up the wear and tear on these things, so we can add different ages to them. We can make them look extra rusty, or we can look like pretty much brand new, like they just scavenged a ship and made these little huts out of the panels and stuff. The purpose is to have a multi-use, multi-ages, different environments that they can suit into either snow, sand environments, different weather into the jungle. Like, it's a multi-purpose habs library that, yeah, it's just increase our speed and everything.
So the idea was to finish our library in the last years. So now with the next mandate, with the next Derelict crash, we'll be able to create all those shantytown everywhere on different planets. So that will bring more gameplay and more opportunity to the player to just go around and visit them.
And if there's one constant in game development, that's change. Or in this case, the continuing iteration by a dedicated team to populate the planets and moons of Stanton and Pyro with not only the Derelicts and shantytowns that we saw, but our landing zones like Lorville. Now, we first spoke of the upcoming changes to Lorville in a Journey to 4.0 segment at CitizenCon 2952. But while we had the folks in town, we thought it'd be worth checking in on the team's progress while they were here. Progress that's, quite frankly, going so well, we're starting to think this new version of our oldest landing zone might just arrive a little sooner than expected.
Okay, so
Since
we're
the last
gonna
time
be
we
talking
talked about
Lorville.
Lorville 2.0, a lot of things have changed.
So with his smug face, I think he's gonna drop in 318.
Last time we talked about Lorville 2.0,
Or
a lot of things have
318.1.
changed. It has evolved. The key element that changed is the detail level of all the elements, and I explicitly like to mention the buildings.
That's cool.
So
that's
there's
nice.
details that really enhances the building believability. All the industrial outskirts really give the impression of a scale of the city. It will be iconic.
Gonna drop frames in 318.
Our materials are much more closer to a final look. We were going to a path of adding more tints
What is this though? How is this like standing? Is this like the tower in Pisa, but like on Lorville?
Adding
Like, what is
more tints and variety
It's
and
just
color
weird.
to the buildings and the surrounding structures as well, adding a lot of emissives throughout the city.
It's magic.
And that gives like
Yep.
a good impression of the day and the night cycle.
Wait a minute. Everything is so detailed, but then the main Hurston building doesn't really look like it's supposed to be a part of all of this. For some reason, I don't know why. Am I the only one seeing this? Am I just like tripping? I don't know. It seems like it's from an older game.
Of the day and the night cycle.
This looks nice.
The
But
branding is
also,
very
what's the point?
Hurston
It's just like visuals. It's like
centric. Like they're very brutalist in a way, and
oh, okay.
yeah, it's
so those were these, like whatever this is. But I guess it's very important because they have a lot of them.
they're very brutalist in a way, and yeah, it will be iconic. The process of going from
They need
first pass
new FPS missions on our corp, like the new FPS missions on Orson. Yes, and they also need missions on Lorville, and they need a lot of missions on the planets. So you don't need so you don't ever have to leave the planets themselves. You can just like grind on the planets without like inside the landing zones, like inside Lorville, etc. So you can make a lot of money. So you can buy, I don't know, a ship. Maybe you started with like a mule, and then you buy a ship by grinding those missions. That's what would be cool. But also, our corp needs to be reworked completely, and it's in the backlog for a couple of years now, and they're gonna do it at some point. But yeah,
into final, sometimes we have to break a bit of stuff because as we're finding out the correct scale of the buildings, validate how it looks and how it works together, and we realize certain things need to be aligned differently. You have to go into and remove some buildings or rearrange some neighborhoods to make them fit together in a more cohesive way. There's things beyond like the new buildings. There's new pathways, there's the trenches, there's some tunnels as well, going into like those pyramid shapes that comes from Eric's concept, and we've added tunnels to those. There's cranes, and they create an opportunity to fly under them, flowing from the outside.
did you
of
notice
the city.
the freezes, like the micro freezes, and they're not really micro, they're like macro freezes.
We've added tunnels to those.
Watch the video.
There's cranes,
And
and
it
they
froze,
create an
and then it
opportunity to fly under them, flowing from the outside of the city to the
Performance, guys. We need better performance on our fucking supercomputers to play the game, because it's not exciting when you're like looking at a bunch of screenshots on your screen instead of like looking at a movie or a game, an actual game.
inside. And
Also, yes, we
pipelines,
need
and there's a
content.
way of finding your way into Lorville with all these things that we've added, and it has like a really
Oh, this is cool.
fun.
This is cool. I like this. This would be cool if like you would get like a delivery mission here, so you gotta land inside of this hangar and like deliver to one of the boxes.
These things that we've added, and it has like a really fun structure.
I'm thinking about gameplay again, but they're just like talking about
Easy ways to find where you're at. We're adding more landing
Models
pads,
and
especially
stuff
on
like
the
that.
building rooftops. They create opportunities for gameplay, for pickup missions, and for the future of building interiors as well, or just simple mission types of stuff to do on the rooftops.
Okay, so future of building interiors. So we might get some missions inside with like pew pews, or maybe they're just talking about the habs that you're gonna rent. That's possible.
The city is quite expanded, so it's extending much further in terms of like the industrial areas that we're adding to the out.
Yeah, the shadows are just popping, and like that's a common thing in or common theme in Star Citizen.
For each of the city, the outskirts, they feel like they have a purpose. They have like quarries, they have like the pipelines, they have like industry or manufacturing. They lead up to the city.
This
It
is cool.
feels
Like these
functional.
assets could be
There's, like,
reused for
smokestack.
like these assets could be reused for other places potentially, and used for racetracks, like the snake pit. Those are just like reused assets. So if they use those to do something, maybe even on the planet itself, like on Hurston itself, it will be cool. But yeah, like this is just like whatever. It's nice. It's
Activity
gonna be
going on.
like we're gonna get excited the first time we see it, and then we're just gonna be like used to it, and that's it. Like that's not what games are all about. Games are about gameplay.
With cranes, and it makes like a fun layout. We've experimented with moving L19 or the CBD or the spaceport in relationship to each other. In the end, we barely moved them. We only moved like the spaceport slightly, like a few hundred meters. That's not a lot in the whole scale of the city. What you'll see from the vistas from those places is going to be really a big positive change, I think. And it's still something we're tweaking and working on because we really want to make those work like key shots, basically, for those vistas.
This video just came out.
Travel through the city is not changing, other than the fact that the transit to the gates will be a bit extended, but the view from the transit will be a lot different in a good way, less repeated. You feel more like you're in a real city, and we'll take like a special care along like the path of the train. The key to changing Lorville is the opportunity to have like a whole city built to scale, so that we can fly in and there's no zones that are blocked to the player. Different viewpoints throughout the city where we can land, and it's preparing also the ground for the future updates like the building interiors, because the original buildings in Lorville were much too small to have buildings and building interiors in the future. And you're gonna hear more about the building interiors in a few weeks.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, I would love to hear more about them right now, not in a few weeks, but sure, I guess. Hopefully they're not just like hubs and like the interiors where like people are, like players are gonna rent hubs and like live there. Hopefully they're gonna be like some missions there, but yeah.
The future. And you're gonna hear more about the building interiors in a few weeks.
Alright. I mean, there's not really much to react to here. There's like, wow, assets. It's just like looking at this table and like, what can I say about this table? It's like oval shaped and the chairs are nice. Jared is cool. What is this? Is this a javelin? Yes. A plushie. It's a nice design of a plushie. Like, what am I supposed to react to here?
What did we learned this week? Well, we learned that the Crash Derelict system is continuing to evolve as more and more locations are added to the standard system in the upcoming Alpha
Is there
3.19.
anything else?
That progress on the new Lorville isn't just looking great and coming along fast, it's also in preparation for its own next evolution that includes building interiors, which, as Maxime said, we'll be discussing in just a couple weeks.
So wait, if Lorville is going to be the first one that's going to get building interiors, that only means that they made Lorville in mind, like with that in mind, that they need to have building interiors. Because there was the initial idea like fucking 10 years ago. Well, not 10 years, but like, when did they release ArcCorp? I can find you a video for them like talking about ArcCorp and how every building is going to be enterable and you can like roam around the city and blah, 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 and whatever. So, because everything is just like all the interiors are procedurally generated. So, ArcCorp is obviously not that. But if Lorville is that, that means that they will change ArcCorp at one point. They said that already. But what happens with Crusader then? Do they need to like redo Crusader again, or like Orison? Or did they make it like with that in mind? I'm gonna hope for the best, but I'm gonna expect the worst.
And overall, this week is a reminder that iteration is at the heart of any game's development, and that while the new and shiny will always get the most attention, it's just as important to continue maturing what's come before to ensure the better after. And as for the right now and Alpha 3.18, well, that's still going through its paces on our public test universe. But you should keep an eye on the
It's still in wave 1, dude. It is still in wave 1. Like most of the community cannot even see
website and socials
the PTU.
For when
Can't
this
access the
huge
PTU.
mammer jammer of a patch takes its next big step. And while we're all waiting, stop leaving all those
2016, that's when we released
spaceships
our
littered
port,
around
yeah.
all the new racetracks. We didn't add persistence just to let you all make messes. Well, some of us might have. Benoit definitely did. Now, don't forget that Lunar New Year is also going on right now on the live servers with contests, paints, envelopes, and roosters galore. So be sure you check
Yay.
that out. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared
Envelopes.
Huckabee. We'll see you all here next week.
Envelopes, yay. All right, so since this is gonna be a separate video on YouTube, I'm gonna finish it off with this.
With that, what did we learn this week? Well, so what did we learn this week? So what did we learn about this week? So what did we learn this week? So what did we learn about this week? What? So what did we learn this week? So what did we learn this week? Well, so what did we learn this week? So what did we learn this week? So what did we learn this week?
Well, thank you, Jared, for asking us what did we learn today. Well, we have learned that, well, yes, you have Lorville, and that's it. And you have some, like, Derelicts, and that's it. And that's cool. But, yeah, nothing else. We waited a month and a half for this. The previous year was basically like the ISC was on hiatus the whole year. Because you were talking about like stuff that we like that doesn't really interest us that much, but yeah, again, one more like whatever ISC. It's just like whatever. As I said, I'm gonna hope for the best. I'm gonna expect the worst. And thank you to my patrons and my YouTube supporters for supporting me and for being so awesome. If you want to support me, Super Chat is right there. If you want to support me later on YouTube, there's going to be a join button, and the Patreon link is down in the description of the video. And there is also merch, and you can check out my merch store. Like you can see the Senior Citizen hoodie that I'm wearing right now. They're cool. They are like avoiding the trademark, so yeah, it's not the same, but it's a bit different, but it's funny. And yeah, just check out the merch store. You're gonna find something that's funny for you to wear. The quality is really good, and I can like I tested it. It's really good. It's gonna last a long time. So with that said, thank you for watching, and don't forget to bring a towel when you're traveling through space, and bye.